I have a confession to make, audience. Ladies and gentlemen, I am ready to admit that I am a recovering addict. See, when I was a young lad, I was addicted to popping Flintstone vitamins. The recommended dosage was 1 tab a day, but I'd often eat a handful because my parents wouldn't buy me any
cookies and cream Dunkaroos.
Jokes aside, I've never done any drugs in my life. See, when you're a man on your purpose, eventually you reap the rewards of your hard work, which in turn keeps you high on life. High on Life also just so happens to be the name of the new video game from Squanch Games. Squanch Games is a new studio helmed by the writers of
Ricky Morty, Ricky Morty, Ricky Morty, Ricky Morty, Rick, yo, Rick.
Squanch Games is a new studio with no known pedigree. I was first made aware of High on Life during the 2022 Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. It caught my eye because of its vibrant colors and its silly nature. Then it was revealed that the game would be playable via the Game Pass day one, and I made a mental note that I would eventually give this game a shot. Here we are a few months later, it's released, and I'm happy to report that High on Life is one of the better games of 2022. And just for clarification, I'd like to put an emphasis on the word game. I went to this title assuming its strong writing would hard carry and mask what looked like a generic first-person shooter from all the trailers. I was wrong. High on Life is a fun, semi-open world first-person shooter that borrows a lot of elements from the Doom reboot. I love Doom Eternal, so any shooter that puts emphasis on movement gets a gold star from me. Where this differs from Doom is you're not in a dark, dreary place known as hell, but instead a world where aliens appear and you become a bounty hunter tasked with taking down the G3 gang. G3 is a criminal organization with their hand in numerous illegal activities. What makes G3 so dangerous is they're organized and they have proper leadership that listens to their soldiers, unlike G4.
Niggas is wildin'!
High on Life puts emphasis on movement. Not only does the game move quickly, but you're also given access to a dash mechanic and a jetpack. The game constantly swarms you with large numbers of enemies, and you're gonna have to master traversing the environment. The environments in High on Life are semi-open world. In my opinion, it strikes that nice balance between being linear, but not too linear by having some secret spaces to explore for you. Exploration is rewarded in the form of upgrades and Easter eggs. High on Life is a Metroidvania style game. Certain areas aren't accessible until you unlock certain abilities or guns, and depending on who you are determines whether you'll enjoy that aspect of the game. I personally don't enjoy backtracking, so no, you won't have an issue progressing the game's campaign if you don't like to backtrack. I'd imagine some of you will like it though, because the level design in this game is stellar. Each level is vibrant, it's full of verticality, and it's visually different from the last one. The gameplay loop involves you taking on bounty contracts. After taking down each boss, you're gifted with a new weapon. Each weapon is capable of receiving mods, which kept the combat feeling fresh and new. Each weapon is a living being as well. They all talk and they all have their own personalities that enhance the experience. See, the star of the show is the game's writing. There's not a single dull character in High on Life. Everyone has their own outlook on life and their own motives, but what they all have in common is the dark humor, the self-deprecation, and the banter to offer. Now, I've never watched Rick and Morty.
He's just so uncultured.
I know, sue me. I've never seen the show. But according to my stream's chat, the dialogue in this game is very similar to Rick and Morty. Depending on your experience with that show, you may or may not enjoy the dialogue in this game. I personally found the jokes to be hit or miss. It's some genuinely laugh out loud funny moments in this game, but on the other hand, there were times where it felt like they were trying too hard to shoehorn a joke into a situation that didn't need it. Sometimes I just wanted them to let the story play out. But the biggest culprit for me wasn't the jokes, but the frequency in which your gun speaks. During the cutscenes and key in-game moments, I was okay with it, but halfway through High on Life, I caught myself thinking more often than not.
Shut the fuck up. God damn, nigga.
As stated earlier, this is a semi-open world game. The way that I play games is I don't go for 100% completion, but instead I do side quests until I get bored, then it's back to the main campaign. I didn't want to explore it not because the game wasn't fun, but because the guns often kept talking while you're just trying to take in the game. Imagine your younger sibling sitting next to you playing a game constantly asking, ooh, what's this? Or ooh, what's that? It gets annoying. The good news is there is a solution to this problem. If you go into the settings, you can reduce the amount that your gun talks. Sadly, I didn't discover this setting till towards the end of my playthrough, but I thought I'd make you aware of it in case you wanted to try the game out. Once I reduced the banter from the guns, the game became exponentially better. Moderation is key. Too much of anything is never a good thing, and unfortunately, this game sometimes doesn't know when and when not to insert a joke. My last complaint about High on Life is its ending. This is the first time I think I've ever said this about a game, but the final 2 missions in High on Life are incredibly irresponsible. Without spoiling anything major, they're basically literally acid trips with a lot of bright colors, flashing lights, and swirling all over the screen. There should have been an epilepsy warning in my opinion, as I think this game is going to trigger some people, and since they didn't want to do it, I'm gonna tell you. I don't even have any major health problems, and the ending to this game made me so nauseous that I had to cut off the stream. It literally ruined my mood, and anyone who was in that stream can attest to my claims. And I'm not the only one who feels this way, seeing as several people in my chat said they had the same problem. It left a bad taste in my mouth, and I personally have to knock some points because I think this game was just doing too much. And just for clarification, I'm not saying you will experience some nausea, but I do want to make people aware that it is a possible outcome. And even with that bad ending, I tried not to let it ruin my experience as a whole. I had fun with this game for the most part. Not to mention, it only takes 9 hours on average to finish for people. It's not a huge time commitment. Now, I wouldn't pay $60 for this game, so for those of you without Game Pass, I'd recommend getting it when the price drops, but if you do own Game Pass, go ahead and give it a shot. It's one of the better games on the service. I didn't have any expectations for this game, and High on Life turned out to be one of the better surprises of 2022. I thought I would enjoy Callisto Protocol more than this game. Sadly, that game is awful, and that's why it got uninstalled. If you haven't seen me raging and uninstalling the Callisto Protocol, I will leave a link in the description box below to that video for those of you who need a laugh. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like button on your way out. If you're new here, hey, consider subscribing and turning on all notifications. And if it's any big ballers watching, become a member of the channel by clicking the join button below the video player. It's all different types of cool perks for those who help keep a brother's lights on. I promise you, you're gonna find something you like. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.